Do you suffer from mummy issues?
No.
Well, I do. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Basement of Horrors, that is the Critical Reel, the podcast where I take a movie from the week, break it open, and review it. My name is Zachary Krustan, and with me this week, I've got a special guest. It is my brother Jay.
Hello everyone, I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited to discuss this film that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, because this week, it's different from the past couple of episodes that I've done. This is the last episode of the month. It's the last episode of October, which means it's a great film episode, which means I'm going to take a film that I think is great for many reasons, and I will talk about the reasons later on in the episode, and pretty much talk about the film and why I think it's great. And so Jay has pretty much decided to join me this week to talk about the film, because this is a film that we both love.
It is, yeah. You didn't say what film it was yet, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I'm gonna say the film now.
Okay.
It is Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. But before we start the episode proper, I just want to remind you guys that you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at The Critical Reel, and also visit criticalreel.com for more of my reviews, just to see what I'm about. And if you're listening to me on iTunes, please remember to subscribe to my channel, rate and review. It's not that difficult to leave a rating. It's pretty simple. It's just one click. And don't forget to download my episodes and take me wherever you go. That's pretty much housekeeping out of the way. Just remember that you can find me on social media, and it's not very difficult.
yeah, and I don't really have any social media, so you don't have to follow me on anything.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the first time you're joining me for my episodes. I mean, you might join me actually next week. I'm not gonna say what movie we will be talking about and reviewing next week, but
I will be joining you for that one.
Yeah,
yes.
you're gonna be here with me. Okay, that's great. Okay, so this week, for my great film for the month of October is Alfred Hitchcock Psycho, and this is gonna be quite a long episode because this movie is 55 years old. There is a lot of history that is attached to this movie, so it's gonna take a while. I'm not gonna talk about everything because it's gonna take way too long. So I've picked out important points that I think will be interesting to talk about in the history of this film. I do recommend that you do your own reading up about the film if you're interested in learning more about Psycho. I don't really, to be honest, I don't really think you have to, because the history of Psycho is so well known. Like, I think a lot of people, if you're a film lover, you will know the history of Psycho. But if you don't, you can do your own reading, and I will kind of get to that. I'll kind of get to that as the episode progresses. Okay. So like my my regular episodes with the film reviews that I've done for the past couple of weeks, I do have several segments that my great film episodes are going to have. The first two are identical to my older episodes. The first one is the cast and crew and the synopsis segment, where I pretty much tell you the director, any key personnel, the key cast, and a synopsis that I will nab from imdb.com because it's simple, and a lot of the times they don't give away spoilers, so it's great. My second segment is the background and the production. Now this is probably the meatiest part of the episode for a lot of films, because this is where I kind of delve into the history of the film, the production, and all that stuff. And then my third segment is new, or it's specific to the great film reviews, and that is the first encounter. And that's pretty much my first encounter of the film that I'm going to review.
What if you can't remember your first encounter?
Then you just don't, I don't know, just say that you can't remember, because I mean it's fair enough. I mean, like, a lot of these films,
to remember.
Yeah, a lot of these films, if you can't remember, that's interesting, because I was trying to remember my first encounter for Psycho, and when I thought of it, I was like, holy shit, that it's actually the clearest memory I have.
Really?
Because I can remember watching this movie for the first time.
What?
Very, very, very clearly, and
I'll
I'll get to that when that segment comes.
I remember what I felt when I first watched it, but I can't remember where I was.
I can remember where I was. I can remember what I did. I can remember a lot of things with my first viewing. It's that.
No, yeah, I think we did the same things, because we didn't watch it at the same time for the first time.
Yeah, and I watched it alone. I can remember watching it alone.
But I remember you telling me the story, and I think we did much of the same things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, the segment after the first encounter is what I call watching it now. ... And it's essentially just to see how the movie has aged since my first viewing or since it premiered, to see if it still holds up, and see if it still relates to why I think it's great. The next segment is the discussion, and it's not like my other episodes where I review the film, because there's no point really reviewing a great film. We've kind of established that it is great. So this segment is just called discussion, and it's where we discuss the film and we talk about why we think it's great, for what reasons and all that stuff. And that's pretty much it. I don't have the recommended viewings at the end of this episode like I do for my regular episodes. Because, it's not really necessary. But for this episode in particular, I do have a couple of films that I will mention that I think you should see if you want to, but they're not really recommended. Okay, so that's done. That's cleared up. It's time to delve into the first segment, because we shouldn't waste any time. This is going to take a while, I think. The first segment is the cast and crew and the synopsis, so this is going to be quite quick. Psycho is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and if you don't know who Alfred Hitchcock is, I've got nothing to say. I mean, even if you don't love movies,
you need to know who Alfred Hitchcock is.
Yeah, you would know who Alfred Hitchcock is. His name is synonymous with classic Hollywood, with classic cinema, with suspense.
He is suspense.
Yes, he is the master of suspense, as everyone says, and I'm not even going to list his filmography because it dates back to the silent era, but a few of his films that you will probably know: Notorious, Rope, Rear Window, Vertigo, North by Northwest, The Birds, Marnie, Frenzy. He did Topaz, and these are films that most of these films are post-prime Alfred Hitchcock. These were films that he made, when he was 55, 60, pushing 70. These were films he made much later into his career, and these are the films that he's remembered for. So it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, that's the stuff that he's done. Psycho stars Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, Vera Miles as Lila Crane, and Janet Leigh as Marion Crane. And this is the synopsis pulled from imdb.com.
So excited he hit your mic.
Yeah. So this is the synopsis pulled from imdb.com. A Phoenix secretary steals $40,000 from her employee's client, goes on the run, and checks into a remote hotel run by... What did I say?
You said employees.
Okay, I'm going to say that again. A Phoenix secretary steals $40,000 from her employer's account. But what the
You can't read.
Okay, I'll start again. A Phoenix secretary steals $40,000 from her employer's client, goes on the run, and checks into a remote motel run by a young man under the domination of his mother. In my opinion, that is a wonderful synopsis.
That is a very good
synopsis.
That
is a wonderful synopsis from IMDb, because it tells you nothing about the film. It preserves all the
nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty, the shocks, the scares, everything is preserved, and it
outlines the story very well. Yeah,
it does outline the story. Okay, so the Phoenix secretary is Marion Crane, played by Janet Leigh, and the motel is run by Norman Bates. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into the background and the production of the film now. Like I said at the start of the episode, I'm only picking out highlights of this film's history because there's a lot to talk about. So Psycho is based on Robert Bloch's 1959 novel, also called Psycho. And it was loosely inspired by the case of convicted Wisconsin murderer Ed Gein. Now, if you've seen the movie Hitchcock, which came out in 2012, you might be a bit more familiar with Ed Gein because he kind of features in the movie a little bit in these weird flashbacks. And Hitchcock purchased the rights to the book for a very reasonable fee, for $9,500.
I actually didn't know it was based on a book. That's interesting. All right.
You haven't seen Hitchcock, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
That's with Anthony Hopkins.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Hitchcock financed the film himself after Paramount refused to budget it. And he even suggested using his own TV crew from his Alfred Hitchcock Presents TV show. That's how much he wanted to keep the budget down. He was willing to recycle his crew from the TV show. When adapting the novel, Hitchcock hired screenwriter Joseph Stefano. And for the most part, the film remains faithful to the book. It is a rather good adaptation, except for key features of Norman Bates. Apparently his appearance is very different. In the book, he is this overweight, kind of much older guy.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Hitchcock managed to convince Stefano to change Norman Bates' character after he cast Anthony Perkins. And Stefano saw Anthony Perkins and was like, oh, okay, I can see him being Norman Bates. I'm going to change the appearance of the character.
Good call. That was perfect casting.
I know. And other things that the book, the film left out from the book were a number of Norman Bates' interests. Like he was interested in the occult in the book and pornography, which Hitchcock smartly omitted from the film, even though you can kind of get a sense that Norman Bates is into a lot of weird stuff. You know, I mean, he's got the taxidermy thing in his office parlor, and he peeps, you know, in the shower through the hole in the wall. It's all very
subtly hinted.
Pornographic in nature, yes. All right, the first name of the female protagonist was changed from Mary to Marion, since a real Mary Crane already existed in Phoenix, so they changed the name to kind of avoid that confusion. Also changed is the novel's budding romance between Sam and Lila. Now, Sam is Marion's boyfriend, and he is pretty much the reason she steals the $40,000. And Lila is Marion's sister, played by Vera Miles. So the novel had a romance between Sam and Lila, but Hitchcock decided to remove that from the film because he preferred to focus the audience's attention on the solution to the mystery, which I thought was a wonderful idea because it would have spoiled I think it would have spoiled the movie if Sam and Lila actually had a romantic relationship going on. I like the fact that they remained separated and focused on solving the mystery at hand.
Right.
And Stefano thought that such a relationship would make Sam Loomis seem cheap, which is true because Sam loves Marion. He wanted to run away with Marion, and the fact that if he formed a romantic relationship with Lila, it would have cheapened his character quite a lot. And I agree, that's something that he wouldn't have done. His character wouldn't have done. So Paramount Studios was expecting Hitchcock to make No Bail for the Judge, which was a film that starred Audrey Hepburn, or was supposed to star Audrey Hepburn. But Audrey Hepburn became pregnant and had to bow out of the film. So Hitchcock scrapped the production. And I think that's one of the reasons that Paramount was unhappy that Hitchcock wanted to make Psycho. One of the reasons.
Right.
But one of the main reasons was that Paramount said that the book was too repulsive, and this is quote unquote too repulsive and quote unquote impossible for films.
Ooh.
Because it was a very I know it's a very controversial book.
It is.
I mean, it's so dark for that period, and this is a period that's in the middle of the Cold War, post World War II. You know, there's a lot of darkness going on in the book as well, and also because it's based on a real guy. But Hitchcock, he wanted to make this movie. He was determined to make this movie after North by Northwest. He shot the film at Universal Studios, as everyone knows, and the actual set of the Bates Motel still stands on Universal Studios. You can go on the tour, you can walk around the house and the motel. And he used his Shamley production company, including his cinematographer, script supervisor, set designer, and first AD from his Alfred Hitchcock Presents TV show. So like he did reuse his crew members from the TV show to cut budgets, to cut costs. He shot in black and white, also to keep the budget under $1 million. And the actual budget of the film was actually $806,947, which is peanuts compared to the kind of budgets that films get now. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Gotta account for inflation, but still, that's still pretty low.
Yeah, that is still peanuts. And he made, I mean, the fact that he made Psycho, this film, for that amount of money is absolutely insane.
Oh, and Zach, why is it cheaper to shoot in black and white in those days? Why was it cheaper to shoot in black and white?
Because colored film was just so freaking expensive. That's why. Yep. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, unless you were backed by a studio who really wanted to fund your project, you're not going to have money to shoot in color. I mean, film in general is expensive. Very black and white film is just expensive, but they didn't have digital back then, so they had to get the lesser of two evils. That's pretty much it. And another reason he shot in black and white was not just the budget, but he wanted to prevent the shower scene from being too gory. So he already had plans for the shower scene in mind. He didn't want it to be, which is interesting. Because I can't remember where I read this. I think it was an essay or something. But a lot of viewers recall
Seeing the blood as red.
seeing the blood in
Even
the shower
though it
scene
was black
as
and white.
red. And this is actually a test. This is a test. Like any of you listening to this, and if you watch Psycho, after the shower scene, just ask yourself: do you picture the blood in the bathtub and all that, the whole scene? Do you picture the blood being red? Chances are you would picture it being red, which is very interesting, even though the film is shot in black and white.
Because for all we know, that liquid could have been like blue, and
Yeah,
you wouldn't know.
no one will know, but everyone sees it as red, even though the film is in black and white. So Janet Leigh's salary for this film was a measly $25,000, which $25,000, which she was happy with, and Anthony Perkins received $40,000. So still peanuts.
Was he a better known actor back then, or?
Apparently he was.
Okay.
Apparently both he and Janet Leigh were crowd pullers. Their names were big enough to pull crowds.
Oh.
They were popular enough. I mean, Janet Leigh, yes. I don't really know much of what Anthony Perkins has done.
What else has Anthony Perkins been in?
That's a good question. I'm actually not sure, and maybe anyone who's listening can
look it
tell
up
us.
right now.
Okay, you can look it up while I continue this, and then you can hit me with some knowledge when you find something. Principal photography for Psycho began on 11th of November 1959 and ended on the 1st of February 1960. Leigh and Perkins were allowed to improvise on set as long as their improvisations didn't interfere with camera movement, so they were allowed to improvise lines, certain actions, and this is clear with Norman Bates constantly eating candy corn. This was something that Anthony Perkins improvised himself. If you watch Norman Bates carefully, a lot of the times he pulls this candy corn out of his pocket and just nibbles on it. That's something that Anthony Perkins kind of injected into the character by himself, which I thought was quite interesting. This is quite interesting. Hitchcock apparently hid the mother corpse prop in the film. This is actually a spoiler in case you haven't seen it, because I just mentioned the
the movie is 55 years old.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the movie is 55 freaking years old.
We're not gonna think about spoilers. Right.
Although I do apologize if you haven't seen Psycho. I mean, okay, anyway, it's not an outright spoiler.
Even if you haven't seen it, you would have probably heard of it by now, so you would know what the
that's true.
Spoiler is anyway.
So apparently Hitchcock hid the mother corpse prop in Janet Leigh's dressing closet multiple times to scare her. She took it well. Like, she actually liked the idea that Hitchcock did this, and because it helped keep her character on edge. And I think that helped, especially during the shower scene. It helped her performance and all that. And that was just an interesting thing that I thought Hitchcock liked to torment his actors, much like Stanley Kubrick did. His cameo, Alfred Hitchcock was also known for his cameo in his films. His cameo in this one is him standing outside Marion's office early on in the film wearing a Stetson hat. And apparently he wanted to be in this particular scene because his daughter, I think, plays Marion's colleague in the scene. So he just wanted to be kind of close to his daughter in the cameo and just stand outside the office and look around.
I'm learning so much today.
You're learning so much today, yes. Okay, there is a whole... When I was doing my research for this film and the background of the film, there is a whole bunch of stuff dedicated to the shower scene. Because the shower scene is one of the most famous scenes in the history of Hollywood. I don't think anyone does... it's one of the most famous scenes in the history of Hollywood. And there are essays upon essays about the shower scene. I think even...
just that one scene.
Yeah. I think even Thompson and Bordwell has done an essay on it. And so I'm not really going to talk about the shower scene because there's just a lot to talk about this one scene, and I don't really want to do that. So you can do your own research about the shower scene. You can go and read up, but there are a lot of things about the shower scene that are quite interesting. I mean, it was shot from 77 different angles. That's 77 angles in a small bathroom. That's
insane.
Yeah, insane. I mean, the cameras would have been huge back then. The scene runs for 3 minutes, has over 50 cuts. There's been a lot of speculation about whether body doubles were used, and apparently Janet Leigh said no, it was all her in the shower, except for, I think, when Norman Bates drags the body out of the bathroom. I think that was a body double, but the actual stabbing scene, I think that was all her. There have been rumors that the scene was directed by different people, including Saul Bass, who was the film's graphic designer. But apparently that was false because, Hitchcock was such a perfectionist. I don't think he would have allowed anyone to direct the scene, and such a momentous scene of the film as well. I think he wanted to do it himself. And a lot of people have said that there were no actual shots of penetration, the knife stabbing.
Yeah, there aren't.
Unless I read that there might be one,
Really?
very quick one, but again, it happened so quick that I don't really know. So there's a lot of stuff revolving around this scene. So there's a lot to get into. I'm not going to get into it. I just gave you like a few teasers.
We should get into it though, because there is so much to talk about. Because then you would be.
I will talk a bit about the shower scene in the discussion part. But but in terms about the history and the production of it, and what went into it, I don't think there's the time. First of all, to get into that, you can read at your own pace, read in your own comfort.
All right, so wait, I found Anthony Perkins' stuff. And before Psycho, he starred in 10 films, right? Before that, he did mostly TV stuff. Okay. And of these 10 films, I haven't heard of any of them. So I don't know how he... Well, I don't know. I wasn't alive back then. Maybe they were big. I don't know. Because there's Friendly Persuasion, Fear Strikes Out, The Lonely Man, The Tin Star, This Angry Age, Desire Under the Elms, The Matchmaker, Green Mansions, On the Beach, and Tall Story.
Those are the best films. Those are the best films in the history of the world. I mean, those are... all of those won Academy Awards for Best Pictures. It's no surprise that he was a big name when Psycho came out.
And he got paid $40,000 for his role. Wow, okay.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Fact checker. Yeah.
Yes, fact checker. Where was I? Okay, Psycho also takes full advantage of the decline of the production code. Now, if you don't know what Jay, do you know what the production code is?
Not really.
The Hays Code? You would have learned... Alright, no, okay, it's fine. I'll just give you a brief rundown of what the production code was. Apparently...
Oh, is this the whole studio thing?
Yeah, it's the whole studio thing.
Okay. No, yeah, I know
that started as early as around 1930 and ended about 1960. So it was about 25, 30 years of this production code, and it was essentially a ban by Hollywood on film studios and filmmakers and films from showing certain things about in their films. So, and it was a very Christian-based code that was put into play. Films during this time couldn't show on-screen kisses that lasted for more than 3 seconds. Right. The heroes couldn't be bad men. Like the heroes of the films couldn't... Oh, whose phone was that? What was that?
What was that?
Okay, doesn't matter. Heroes of the film couldn't fornicate. They couldn't drink. They couldn't do anything that was not righteous.
Right.
There was no sex, no nudity, no violence, no expletives. None of those things. So that was the production code. It was this heavy ban on Hollywood films from the period of about 1930 to 1960. So 1960 is when Psycho came out, and it takes full advantage of the decline of the production code. The opening scene alone, the film starts with Marion Crane in her underwear, lying on a bed, having a very sensuous talk with Sam, and they're talking about running away together, and she's in her underwear. I mean, it's a provocative scene, especially for that period, and this was just after the decline of the production code. The toilet flushing, which is the first time you ever see a toilet flush in the movies, that in itself is controversial. Nudity, the shower scene, there's no real explicit nudity, but it's heavily implied nudity. Yeah. That's another thing that Psycho took advantage of. Murder, blood, all these things that could not be portrayed on Hollywood screens of the time, Psycho did. And quite boldly as well. And
it was Hitchcock basically telling the studios, it was like, up yours, basically.
Yeah. There's a scene in the movie Hitchcock where he has a meeting with the censorship board of Hollywood, and they're discussing what he can and cannot show, and he pretty much does up yours, and he just I think he walks out of the meeting or something. And we all know that Hitchcock was incredibly rigid about the control of the release of Psycho. He forbade. That is the word.
Forbade, yeah.
Forbade. Mm-hmm. He forbade Lee and Perkins from appearing on radio shows and TV shows to talk about the film because he wanted to keep the suspense of the film, the twist intact.
Yeah.
And he also prevented any critic screenings. So movie critics were not allowed to see the film beforehand. They had to see the film with the general public.
Wow.
Which was also very interesting because then again, that maintained the twist. And, even if critics are not allowed to spoil films, Hitchcock didn't even give them the chance to spoil the film. He didn't even let them see it before the release date. And audiences were not allowed to enter the cinema after the film began. So, yeah, a lot of the cinemas that were screening Psycho, there were people stationed outside the cinema doors to stop people from entering the cinema once the film began, because again, he just wanted to preserve the whole experience from start to finish. And if you ask me, after seeing Psycho a mazillion times, I agree with him. I mean, you cannot go into Psycho
knowing anything about it.
Yeah. Which, unfortunately, if you're listening to this episode without having seen Psycho, a lot of things are getting spoiled already.
Yeah.
And in 1992, the U.S. Library of Congress deemed the film culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant and selected it for preservation in the National Film Registry. And there's a whole bunch of films that have been archived in the National Film Registry for preservation. And Psycho is one of them, and quite rightly so.
Why did it take them so long? 1992.
I don't know. Okay, so that does it for the background and the production, and that. We're almost reaching the half an hour mark of this episode already. It was a lot, and that was in depth, and that was just skimming the surface. Like I said, there is still so much more that I haven't talked about in terms of history and production. It's insane. Please, I encourage you to read up on your own time about this movie. Okay, first encounter. Do you want to go first? Can you remember your first encounter?
I can't remember my first encounter. I mean, I can remember watching it,
but you can't
remember where or when it was. I don't know. I just can't even think of when it was.
Okay,
you go first.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I know it was at least 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was at least 10 years ago because we were living in our old house, lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it was at least 10 years ago, and I remember because my bedroom was in the basement, but not like a crummy, dingy basement like you would picture.
Not like in.
It was a nice basement bedroom, and I was fortunate enough to have my own TV and my own like little lounge area in that room. So I remember sitting on that couch, hugging a pillow, watching Psycho by myself, and this was more than 10 years ago. So I would have been. 15? 16? 15? Yeah, probably somewhere around there. And I remember when the climax of the film was coming, I had to pause it. I had to pause the film and walk around my room to de-stress because I was so tensed. I had to pause the film and walk around and just calm myself down before
the fact that you were in a basement. So
yeah, the fact that I was in a basement and the climax involves the basement, I was like, holy shit! I stopped it. I had to walk around my room. I had to calm myself down because I couldn't take it. So yeah, that was my first encounter with Psycho, and that was more than 10 years ago.
That was pretty much my first encounter as well. There were times where I just had to pause it and. I couldn't continue because it was just way too intense. And yeah, like you said, you had to de-stress. You just had to de-stress while you were watching it. It was just I can't imagine watching it in the cinema. That would be insane.
Exactly. Watching it in the cinema in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get to that as well. About the mind tricks that the movie plays on you. It would have been a crazy experience to see it in 1960 in the cinema.
It would have been great. Jeez. I wish I watched it in cinema.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, next segment, watching it now. And this is just a simple thing, just to see how the film has withstood the test of time. And I have to say, in all honesty, nothing important in this film has dated at all.
No.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The acting is superb.
Mm-hmm. The characters are superb.
The story still holds up so well. The issues
that are discussed in the film also.
The issues that are discussed, the music, the effects, everything. It honestly stands up.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to pick anything though, it would be the scene where Arbogast, the private eye.
Oh yeah, when he gets killed.
When he falls down the stairs. It's but that's just a technique. And apparently there were a couple of production issues when they were filming that scene, so that's kind of why the scene looks that way. The shot looks that way when he's falling down the stairs.
It looks like a cool shot, but it
looks like a cool shot.
It was slightly odd.
Yeah, it was it's slightly odd. It's like he's gliding down the stairs almost. It's an odd shot, but it works. But that for me is the only thing that would have that looks dated.
Yeah,
watching it now, but that's not even a big thing. It's not even a big issue. So, in all honesty, I think Psycho holds up superbly. I mean, there are a lot of great films that have aged. Like King Kong. If I did this episode on King Kong, I mean, the effects are superb,
but they are
dated. There's no way you can use those similar effects in a film today. No way.
Yeah.
But they are still superb for the time, for 1933. They are superb.
But oh no, sorry.
What?
Nothing.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, Psycho has held up really well over the past few years, and I've got no complaints.
No, none. And another movie that stands up really well to the test of time is Citizen Kane, but that's for a different time.
Yeah, we should actually do an episode of Citizen Kane. I think I don't know when, but I think we should because I think we can both agree that Citizen Kane is one of our favorite films of all time.
Definitely.
But that's a different matter for a different time. All right, it's time to enter the discussion part of this episode, which is free for all. It's just for us to talk about why we think the movie is great, what do we think about the film. Now that we've got the history and the production out of the way, Jay, why don't you tell me what you like? What do you like about Psycho? Why do you think Psycho is a great film?
All right. Okay, let me give me a moment to gather my thoughts. I haven't
Take your time. Take your time.
Much preparation here, but
yes, you're very ill prepared.
All right, sorry, a bit busy with uni stuff. Anyway, well, I really think Psycho is one of the great films, one of the best films of all time, is because it leads you down one path and then it completely cuts you off and takes you down a completely different path. Like you would think the movie is about one thing. You follow Marian's character with Sam, and she's stealing the money. They want to run away together, right? So she's stolen the money, and she's run away, and you think the film that's what the film's about. It's gonna be about that, and then she's taking a shower, and everything goes to shit. So it's just that turn is one of the best moments in film history as well. Because
the shower scene becomes the pivotal point
in the film.
I mean, okay, Psycho is remembered for the shower scene. It's remembered for the shower scene is so scary, and the music, and
but they don't remember. Like, a lot of people don't remember why.
Yeah, they don't like realize the significance of the shower scene. It's not just there to scare people. It's not just there to make people in the crowd scream. It's a narrative decision, and it's very interesting because, like you said, the start of the film, if you try your best to think about Psycho as if you had not seen it before. Now, if you're watching Psycho for the first time, and you watch the first act of the movie, and Marion embezzling this 40,000, and she runs away. She tells her boss that she's feeling sick. She wants to go home. She's gonna deposit the money in the bank, and then she's gonna go home. And then later, in a shot that Quentin Tarantino stole for Pulp Fiction, Marion is driving out of town with the money, and in front of her boss crosses the road.
Right.
And the boss sees her. He smiles because it's just a casual thing. Then she smiles at him, and then he stops and he looks back with a very confused look on his face, like, "Wait a minute! I thought she said she was sick. Why is she here?" And then her face, like, fear dawns on her face, and she drives off.
Yeah.
So her conscience is already playing on her mind. Her conscience is already affecting her mind.
Yeah.
Okay. It's playing up. She's already wondering if she should be stealing the money. And then she drives off down to out of the city, and then she falls asleep in the car. And then the cop finds her on the side of the road, and she's incredibly suspicious.
She's paranoid.
She's incredibly paranoid that someone's gonna catch her, that she's stolen this money. The cop lets her go, but the cop follows her. She goes to the car dealer to change her car. The cop is across the road watching her very intently. She's paranoid again. She just wants to change her car and drive off. And what's interesting is that when she's driving the car, there's the voiceover. There's her voiceover, not her voiceover, but there are a few voiceovers while she's driving, playing out possible scenarios in her head. These are voiceovers of what she's thinking these people are talking about as she's stealing the money. And so again, it's the whole conscious thing, the whole paranoia thing playing on her. And then she goes to the Bates Motel, and
then you meet Norman Bates, who's such a lovely person.
He's such a lovely guy. He's such an accommodating, cheerful, jolly, friendly, polite guy. Yeah. He's so unassuming that you would think that because of the way the story is set up, you can almost picture the second and third acts being about, Marion Crane deciding that she wants to return the money and come clean with her boss and say that was a mistake. And, we don't know if the boss was going to accept her apology. Maybe he was going to fire her. And what's happening with Sam? She was supposed to rendezvous with Sam with all this money. She didn't do that. Does Sam break it off with her and go with the sister instead? These you can sort of picture all these things happening in the second and third acts of the film, this possible film.
Because you would think that Norman Bates was a secondary character.
Yeah, you would just think Norman Bates was this guy
that she met on the way to rendezvous with Sam, and you would think he was a secondary character.
And then he has dinner with Marion in the hotel office, and then that's when she says that she's gonna drive back.
Right.
She ends the dinner saying that she's gonna drive back. She's gonna make amends. She's gonna
come clean.
Yeah, she's gonna come clean. So again, it looks very much like she's gonna leave Bates Motel, and even then, Bates Motel doesn't just seem like a placeholder. It actually seems like an important location because that's where Marion decides to change her ways. So even if the story had carried on its original trajectory,
I think it would have been a really good film.
Yeah, and Bates Motel would have still had a solid purpose to the film because it served its purpose. It's where Marion changed her mind. And then the shower scene happens.
Yes.
And then the shower scene happens. And it is a complete 180-degree shift in the story because the main character, the one that we are following, the one that we are hoping will find redemption for her misdeed, gets killed. She's dead. She's completely dead. And in
that scene when she's in the shower and then you see the door open. Oh my god,
that is my best part of the movie.
Oh really?
Yeah, I have done my best moment.
Oh yes.
I'll talk about that. Okay. Why that's the best. But the shower scene. It is remarkable in that I'm trying my best to picture myself seeing it for the first time. Yeah. I mean, I probably would have screamed as well. I mean, because you're not expecting it at all. And it happens so abruptly, it happens so violently and so crudely that you're not expecting it, and it's just a complete shift. And what I like about this, and I have this down in my notes. Where is it? It's very ironic. That scene it's very tragically ironic because in movies especially, showers are usually used for two things. One is for sex. Yeah. Two is for cleansing. So
in more ways than one.
So in movies, most of the time in movies, showers are for tortured, fractured, tormented characters to wash themselves of sin.
See Casino Royale.
Yeah, see Casino Royale. That's a good shower scene. And so again in Psycho, that's very good. It's the same for Janet Leigh's character because she admits that she's going to return the money. She is already starting to cleanse her conscience. And then she goes and have a shower. She has a shower, and it's a cleansing shower. You can see her when she starts the shower. She is smiling because she is washing away her misdeed. She is washing away her guilt from of stealing her not just her boss's money, but her boss's client's money. It's someone else's money. It's not even really associated with her firm, and she's cleansing herself. And the fact that she's killed during this cleansing shower is incredibly, tragically ironic. It just affects her character so much. It's a much more powerful scene than a lot of people think it is. A lot of people just think it's great because of the music and the action and the visuals and all that and the technique that went behind it. But the meaning of the scene, what the scene does for the characters and the story is absolutely superb.
And that's what makes it great.
And that's what makes the scene great. I mean, I love the fact that she was killed during this cleansing shower. It is so sad.
It is.
It is so sad. She was about to turn this whole mistake around, and she's gone.
Just like that.
And yeah, just like that.
Oh.
And what's even sadder is that after the shower scene, the money is completely forgotten. It's completely discarded. It is not even important to the story anymore.
It was in the car, right?
Yeah. Because Norman Bates didn't know that the money was there. He just took the newspaper that the money was wrapped in and threw it in the car and dumped the car in the bog behind the hotel. So he didn't even know the money was there. It's not even important anymore. The 40 grand is gone. You know, so it's just a very sad state of affairs what happens to her, and I think that it's wonderful that a lot of people kind of overlook. There's also a constant visual motif of cleansing. You know, one is her cleansing herself in the shower, and then when Norman Bates and at that time when Norman Bates is cleaning up the mess, we assume it's not his mess. We assume it's the mother's mess.
Right. Yes.
And then there is a shot of him washing his hands, cleansing her blood off his hands in the bathroom sink, and this is kind of like he's also washing away his own sin, but we don't know that at the time because we think the mother did the
He's cleaning
killing.
up his mother's mess.
Yes, but now when you look back, he is washing away her blood, but it's his sin.
And this is also why you watch movies more than once, because you
pick up on things.
Yeah, you pick up on things that you didn't pick up in the first viewing. Yeah.
So there's that whole visual motif thing. So like you said, the best part about the shower scene is not the stabbing, it's not the music, it's the door opening.
Yes.
Because the door opening, that moment is in itself a horror movie.
Yeah.
That one action of the door opening is the way that the shot is framed with Marion in the foreground with the shower curtain directly behind her. And the fact that the shower curtain is semi-opaque. Yeah, it creates a blurred background. Yeah. The camera holds that shot. It doesn't change. It doesn't cut to something else.
And all you hear is the shower. The water's running.
All you hear is the shower.
And then the door just opens.
There is no music. There is no sound effects other than the water running.
There's no squeak of the door opening. It's just silence.
And the door doesn't inch open. It swings
open. Yes.
The door swings open, and you can see a figure standing in the door, and the figure creeps up to the shower curtain. That moment is just. Yeah, in case you can't tell, we are going crazy just thinking about the scene because the scene is so superb in eliciting fear.
If you haven't seen it, you just gotta watch that scene. All right. Well, actually, if you haven't seen it, just watch the entire film.
Watch the entire film. But the door opening is the best part because it is just so shameless. Mm-hmm. It is so shameless.
I definitely agree.
It is masterful. It is masterful filmmaking and masterful decision as well to film that shot that way. It is.
Yeah, you would think in a horror film, like the person would be sneaking in, opening the door slowly,
and
checking
creeping into the bathroom so as to not, alert.
It was
whoever.
so blatant. It was just door swings open, walks up to the curtain, rips it open. Oh.
Music goes.
Oh.
Stab happens. She's dead.
Oh, what a scene!
Yeah, it is. It is a wonderful scene for so many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now why I think Psycho is a great film.
Oh yes, I forgot to ask you that. Yeah,
that's okay. Why I think Psycho is a great film, is because of its psychology. Like what I mentioned earlier, the psychology behind this film, and we already touched on it with the way the movie is set up. Sort of leading us down one path, thinking that the movie is going to be about one thing, about Marion and the money, and maybe she's the psycho in that movie.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Oh yeah, that's another thing, the title, because you think about the title as you're watching it, and then you're like, what's psycho about this?
Yeah, and so maybe she's the psycho. Yeah. Maybe she's kind of losing her mind after stealing this money. Okay, anyway, so that's already one part of the psychology of this film, leading us down one path and then doing an abrupt 180 degree turn down another path. But after the shower scene, when Sam and Lila start an investigation, and Arbogast, the private eye, when the three of them start an investigation into the disappearance of Marion, there is still a lot of mind games going on with this film. The psychology of this film is what makes it great. It's not the music, the acting, the shower scene, the climax and all that stuff. It is the psychology. Because first you think, Norman Bates' mother is alive. Mm-hmm. You see her standing in the house window, the Bates house behind the Bates motel. You hear her voice. Mm-hmm. You
Which
hear
still
her.
Creeps me out to this day.
It's incredibly creepy.
Yeah.
You hear her arguing with Norman Bates. Mm-hmm. So and you, like I said, you see her in the window, and Norman constantly talks about the mother. And then you learn that she's dead. You learn that from the sheriff, the local sheriff. Sam and Lila go to the sheriff and ask for help. And the sheriff says that Norman Bates' mother has been dead and buried in the cemetery for 10 years. So now you're wondering, what? What? We heard the mother. We saw the mother. We saw the mother kill Marion Crane in the shower. And now she's dead. She's been dead for 10 years. I mean, and this, I think that revelation that she's been dead for 10 years is such a good revelation that almost a zillion horror stories following that have kind of used that, you know.
They kind of base that off.
Yeah.
Like, she's been dead for 10 years.
Yeah, she's been dead. You've seen her? How have you seen her? She's been dead for 10 years. You know, I mean, like, I think a lot of that stemmed from Psycho because that line is so impactful in its revelation. I think a lot of the audience must have been, what? She's been dead for 10 years. We saw her. We heard her. You know?
She killed Marion.
Yeah, she killed Marion. So we learn that she's dead. And then, after we learn that she's dead, we see Norman carrying his mother from the bedroom to the basement, and she's having a conversation with him again.
Yeah.
And so now we're wondering, she's alive. Because we see her. Her body's right there. He's carrying her. She's talking to him.
How could she be dead?
Who did they bury in the cemetery then? So then the mystery... Then now we're thinking, the mystery is who's buried in the cemetery. Because the mystery is not... The mother and Norman, because we see the mother, we are convinced she's alive. And so by the time the climax comes, by the time Lila Crane enters the Bates house, we know something sinister is happening in the house. We know something is going on in the house. We know that whoever steps into that house is going to stumble upon something incredibly horrific.
Yeah.
You know, and that is where the psychology of the film is, because it plays with your mind. It makes you think one thing, and then there's a revelation that makes you think another thing. And then something happens that makes you go back to the first thing you were thinking, or even to something completely different. And you're constantly trying to second guess yourself. You're trying to second guess the movie. You're trying to second guess the characters and the story. And
there are just so many emotional and psychological twists and turns.
Exactly, yeah. It just
takes you all over the place.
It takes you all over the place. Yeah. But it's so controlled. It takes you all over the place, but it's such a controlled film. And it's so deliberate.
Yeah.
And I can see why the movie received mixed reviews when it came out, because
it's so controversial.
It was so controversial, so jarring and all that. And I can see why, after so many years and after so many, rewatching and analyzing and all that, why it's such a great film, because there is so much to digest about the story and about the characters and about the way the story unfolds. It is, and that climax scene is just startling.
Oh,
it is.
my God.
It is a wonderfully constructed movie that does more than just shock you and does more than just
terrify you.
It plays on your mind. It's so psychologically playful that
his face when he runs into that basement.
Norman Bates' face when he runs down. It's.
I can see that face right now.
It is the face of insanity, right?
Yes,
it is the face of Anthony.
It is.
For the record, Anthony Perkins. He is sublime.
Sublime.
He is sublime.
He's sublime.
He's sublime.
Yes.
As Norman Bates.
Not just sublime. He is sublime.
Yeah, he is sublime. That is even better than sublime.
It's the next level of sublimity.
Is that
a word? Sublimity?
I have no idea. I'm not even listening.
Okay.
That you could even watch Psycho just for his performance, because the way he switches from sanity to insanity, it is so seamless. He does it so well. The casting choice is perfect. I don't think they could have cast anyone else to be Norman Bates.
Yeah, he was perfect. He was just perfect. And then you've got the last shot of the movie as well, which was also just great.
Yeah, that is interesting, because I have here as my worst moment. Now, I can't pick a worst moment in Psycho, but if I had to pick one, it's possibly the epilogue,
really?
where all the characters who are still alive, because Marion's dead, Arbogast is dead, so Sam Loomis, the sheriff, and all the characters are still alive are seated down in the policeman's office or wherever they are, and the psychiatrist is talking to them and explaining Norman's situation. I don't think that scene is particularly necessary, because he pretty much explains what we can figure out for ourselves. After seeing the climax, where he charges into the basement of the fruit cellar,
you immediately
dressed as
know
his mother.
What's wrong with him?
Yeah, exactly. You immediately know what's wrong with him. That you know that he is both the mother and Norman Bates. And when he's the mother, he's a psychotic murderer and dresses up like the mother. and when he's not, he's this calm, polite Norman Bates. And you see the mother dead in the chair. So you don't really need an explanation telling us almost word for word what we already know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
But that is incredibly minor because
it's nitpicking.
And also because it's nitpicking. And also because in 1960, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
you're trying to say people back then were stupid?
I was gonna say that no, I don't think. But I think maybe we hadn't been. I think the people at that time hadn't been exposed to this kind of film as much as audiences of today have. So they might have needed some kind of guidance through the mind of Norman Bates. And that's why I can see the need for that film, even because we're watching it now, having seen a lot of these kind of psychological films where we can sort of piece things out for ourselves. Like Inception was such a psychological mess, but we were able to piece it together by ourselves. We didn't need someone sitting down at the end of the film telling us what happened and explaining everything. So watching Psycho now, we see that there's no need for that scene. Yeah. But putting ourselves in 1960, we see that there is a need for that scene. Perhaps.
Yeah, well, when I was talking about that last scene, I wasn't talking about that explanation of the thing. It was just that shot of him, and then when he looks up at the camera.
When his mother's talking to him.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to swat that fly. And then he looks up at the camera. And
with that look,
and then
that expression.
There's the double exposure of the skull, and you can see like the skeleton teeth.
Yeah. I love that ending.
It's a wonderful ending.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful ending. And replicated horribly in the remake with Vince Vaughn playing Norman Bates, because he just looks completely comical, like a complete.
You can't take
buffoon.
Vince Vaughn seriously.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't take Vince Vaughn seriously, except in True Detective.
True Detective. I was just going to mention that. Yeah,
he's actually very convincing in True Detective. But other than that, you can't take him seriously. Him playing Norman Bates. That brings me. I think that. Is that? Do you have anything else to say about Psycho? I mean, are you good?
I'm happy.
Have you got all your thoughts about Psycho out?
Yeah.
Do you think with all your heart that this is a great film?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Unequivocally. I still think that Vertigo is my favorite Hitchcock film.
Really?
Yeah. Vertigo. I saw Vertigo. I can't remember when. I think it was when I was in uni. So probably about 3 years ago. It was the first time I saw Vertigo, which is quite shameful. Yeah. But when I first saw it, I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. But the more I saw it, I think I've seen it 4 times now. The more I've seen it, the more brilliant I think it is. The psychology in that film as well is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I think I need to watch it more times.
Yeah, I think you should. When you watch, really pay attention to the film. The psychology in that film is great. Is really great. Okay. So I think Vertigo is my favorite Hitchcock film, but Psycho is
up there.
And then again, how do you choose? How do you choose a Hitchcock film? I mean, how do you choose between that or Rear Window or Rope or any of that?
Rear Window,
any of his suspense classics? It's hard to choose. So yeah, I think that does it for our discussion.
Yeah.
About Psycho, the great film, and
pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Our episode on Psycho, the great film. I said at the start that I don't have any recommended viewings for my great films because I don't think it's necessary. They are great films, and a lot of them are a lot older, so most of you would have already seen them and possibly already seen a lot of the movies related to them. But I do have 3 films here that I think you should see. I'm not necessarily recommending them, but they are movies that might give you a clearer picture about Psycho and about the world of Norman Bates and the whole world of Psycho. One is the 2012 movie Hitchcock, which is directed by Sasha Gervasi, I have no idea who that is, and stars Anthony Hopkins, and he plays Alfred Hitchcock. It's not a great film. It's not a great film. It's not a movie that I would recommend, but it's good because it gets a number of the facts about the production of Psycho correct. It tackles Hitchcock's difficulty in securing funding for the film and getting Paramount to give him a budget. In the end, they just distributed the film. They didn't give him a budget. It discusses his relationship with his wife and how intrinsic his wife was in the making of Psycho. Unfortunately, it doesn't replicate any of the scenes from Psycho because apparently they didn't get the rights.
Allowed to,
yeah. Apparently the filmmakers couldn't get the rights to the original Psycho to replicate any of the scenes. But they still did a decent job recounting the production of Psycho. And so you can see Hitchcock for the history of Psycho a little bit, but don't rely on it too much because, like I said, without the rights to the original film, they can't do that much. And it's a bit disappointing because you're expecting to see a lot about the making of the movie, but you just don't get it.
Right.
A lot of the movie has to do with the history of the film and how he got it made. The second film that I would recommend is Psycho 2, which is the 1983 sequel to Psycho, directed by Richard Franklin and also stars Anthony Perkins.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's actually a good film. It's way better than I thought it would be. I thought it would just be a stupid rehash of the original Psycho. I mean, of course, there is no way it can live up to the original. Yeah. There's no way. And it knows that. It knows that it can't do that. So it tries to be its own thing. It succeeds at being its own thing. I recommend you check out Psycho 2. Not necessarily Psycho 3 and 4 because those are pretty but Psycho 2 is good. Just to give you a brief premise about Psycho 2, it starts with Norman Bates being released from the mental institution. So he's released on good behavior. He is good. You know, he's gotten rid of his mother, the mother presence in his mind.
Does it follow the actual timeline? Like, is it actually 13 years later, or? Yeah,
it's something like that. Okay. He's much older. He's a much older Anthony Perkins. And Vera Miles, who plays Lila Crane, makes an appearance in the first part of the film, because she's there to protest his release.
Right.
But he gets released anyway, and he gets a job at like the local diner. You know, because he's trying to assimilate himself into society again. He's done with this, and then, not to spoil anything, but he goes back.
Oh.
And it's a very sad story because now in the first movie you're not really rooting for him, but in this one you are, because you see that he is trying so hard to be good again. But there's a relapse. I'm not going to say how it happens or why it happens, but I'm just going to say there is one. Others it wouldn't be Psycho again.
Do his mother issues come back?
Yeah, his mother issues come back. Yeah. And the movie has its own bag of tricks, its own bag of little secrets and twists. It's a very entertaining and I think worthy sequel to the original film, because there's no way it can match it in terms of greatness. So it tries to be its own thing. It is its own thing, and it succeeds. So that's the second film that I recommend you see. I suggest you see. Not really recommend, but I suggest you see. And the last one is Gus Van Sant's 1998 shot-for-shot remake. This is a remake that was critically and financially panned. I mean, it reviled. Critics thought it was crap. No one went to see it. It bombed at the box office.
It sort of is crap, but...
It is crap. But what's interesting...
a pretty big but.
Yeah, what's interesting about this movie is that, again, I'm bad at this because I can't remember where I read this. It's not on Wikipedia. It's not on any of those big sites. And I must have read it during one of my research or something while I was at uni. I was researching something. I must have stumbled across.
Oh, we could have watched it on. It was probably mentioned on something like QI or something.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But what's interesting about Gus Van Sant's 1998 remake starring Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche and Viggo Mortensen. What's interesting about that remake is that Gus Van Sant approached it as an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to see if two different directors could direct the same film and have it come out the same.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense? Like, he basically was testing the auteur theory, whether a director has such a stylistic stamp on his movies that another director simply cannot make it.
And he proved it.
Yeah. And that's why he chose to do it shot for shot, because he wanted to replicate Alfred Hitchcock Psycho perfectly. Exactly as it was, to prove a point that another director cannot make the same movie that a good director makes. And if you see it that way, if that is indeed the truth, and you see it that way, then his remake is actually a triumph.
Yeah.
His experiment succeeded because he proved that...
He proved how important Hitchcock was.
Yes,
a director is to a film.
Yeah. He proved that a film is the direct result of...
the director's vision.
And that another director cannot replicate it no matter how hard he tries, even if he goes shot for shot. So I suggest you see the movie. It's not good by comparison. because how can it be? Vince Vaughn, like I said, is comical as Norman Bates. A lot of things just don't work. The casting doesn't work. I don't like the fact
Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates. Who decided to cast him as Norman Bates? Come on.
I don't know. It's a horrible decision.
Yeah, it's a very interesting watch. Like, watch Psycho first, and then if you haven't seen Psycho, and then watch that remake after that, and it's just it's interesting. It's fascinating.
It is, yeah. It is a very fascinating watch. Yeah, I think that does it for this episode of The Critical Reel. Is there anything else you want to add?
I'm good.
Yeah,
You're good? That was pretty good, yeah.
Like I said, next week we are going back to my regular episodes where we're just taking films from the week, breaking it open and reviewing it. So just to remind you guys that the last episode of every month is a great film episode. And in between are just going to be regular episodes. So next week we're going back to regular programming, as I'm calling it. And Jay is going to be joining me again next week because there's a movie that we saw not too long ago that we really want to talk about. I think, Jay, you're feeling quite strongly about the film.
Yes, rather passionate. Yeah.
He's rather passionate about the film.
In a good way.
Yeah,
It's not like passionate hate.
Like Jurassic World.
Yeah, I passionately hate Jurassic World.
I think we all passionately hate Jurassic World. Yeah. But yeah, so there's a film that we're going to be talking about next week. We were supposed to do it this week.
But it was the last one of the month. So.
Yeah, but because this is supposed to be a great film episode, we did a great film review instead. And so we're going to postpone the movie that we were supposed to dissect and review this week to next week. I'll hint the movie as the day draws closer, but I'm not going to say what it is now. Stay tuned next week to find out.
And where will you be hinting this?
I will be hinting it on Facebook and Twitter at The Critical Reel. Go to facebook.com/The Critical Reel. Please like my Facebook page and follow me on Twitter at The Critical Reel. If you want to know what next week's movie is, I will be hinting it there.
Yeah.
Where can they find you? Can they find you anywhere, Jay?
You don't really need to find me.
No? They don't want to find
I'm not like a public figure, so it's all right.
Okay, whatever.
Well, if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter at DialogueSC, and that's dialogue with the UE at the back. It's not just OG.
Yeah, the American way.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that does it. Once again, I just want to remind you guys, I've already said it, that you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, but don't forget to visit thecriticalreel.com. All my podcast episodes are there. A lot of my written episodes from years ago are there if you want to have something to read. If you're listening to me on iTunes, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please rate my channel and review it. Yes, please review my channel because it helps other people find this podcast. And I forgot to mention them at the start of the episode. Don't forget to visit Hooked on Film. It's a local up-and-coming online film magazine which I'm writing for. We've got a good group of people writing for this film magazine. We're up and coming. There's a lot of things going on, but we tackle a lot of film-related issues. We are very involved in Australian filmmakers and Australian filmmaking, but we also review Hollywood blockbusters, indie films, documentaries, foreign films, and all that stuff. So please visit Hooked on Film if you want to read some of my more recent reviews. Please go there and read them. And yeah, I think that's it for this week. So Psycho is my great film for the month of October. Please go see it if you haven't already, and if you have, please see it again. Do you have anything else to say?
That was a good outro. Yeah.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.